Welcome back to Dave's Gone By, and right here, right now, we've got someone whose new CD is called Right Here, Right Now. Her name is Karen Mason, and if you're a theater person, you know her, because you may have seen her in Sunset Boulevard or Mamma Mia. If you're a cabaret person, you may have seen her in the local clubs, and bunches of other places. So it is a pleasure and an honor to have in the neighborhood with us, right here, right now, Karen Mason. How are you?
Dave, thank you very much. I'm doing really well, actually. I just got home from doing the afternoon matinee of Hairspray, and we had a really fun audience. It was a lot of fun. And
are Sunday audiences usually good or bad or in the middle?
Well, every audience has a big question mark attached to it. You're never quite sure the mob rule. It's really an interesting dynamic. People don't realize how important audiences are for live performers. We totally get jazzed when an audience responds, to the excitement of being in a theater. And today, the matinee is usually a younger, especially on Sunday, is a younger audience. And they're a little bit more verbal and, easy to register that kind of excitement, which is great. It makes it easier for us and makes us excited to perform for them.
That's kind of interesting because in the history of commercial theater since I've been born, Wednesday matinees were when the decrepit would come. That's when the lights would shine off the blue hair in the audience.
Well, usually that's the Wednesday matinee. The Sunday matinees and the Saturday matinees usually, especially for a show like Hairspray, are when the kids are not in school and they can come and see the show with their folks.
Cool. So you've been doing Hairspray since...
I think it was... we had so much going on around that time. I started at the end of March.
Oh, cool. So
I've been doing it just a short period of time.
Playing Velma von Tussle,
yes,
who is the mean mother.
She is.
No, that's not part of a compound word. You're actually a mean mother of Amber von Tussle, who is trying to get the dance career going, and also the boyfriend, and is being checked at every turn by Tracy Turnblad.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. You're playing the role that was Michelle Pfeiffer in the movie.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is a lot of fun. I understand that actually when the show first opened, before the movie had come out, that there were like 12 costume changes, and now there aren't as many. And when I saw the movie, I thought, because I had seen the show originally and saw those costume changes, and then saw the movie and saw all of her fantastic outfits, and I thought this is going to be so much fun. And then when I got to my fitting and saw that they had definitely cut down the number of outfits.
Well, no, actually, the fellow who guest co-hosts a lot of the episodes of Dave's Gone By is a Hairspray fan.
Oh, really?
Loved it when he went to see it, and still liked it a couple of years. This is before you came into the show, because if he'd seen it with you, of course, he would have loved it even more.
Yes.
But he did say, the producers cut back a bit. They got a little chintzy here and there, and it didn't quite feel like the same as when it opened. But no reflection on you.
That happens when they start, getting past that initial burst of energy when a show opens. And then they start having all of the traveling, the touring companies going out. But what's great about this show, I've actually had some people come and see this particular production who had seen all kinds of people doing the roles, that they really do like this company in particular. That George Wendt is playing Edna, and he is just phenomenal. And the woman playing Marissa Perry, Tracy is Marissa Perry, and she is also fantastic. It just seems to be a nice combination of talents right now.
Now, speaking of talent, there's another show that you have been involved with in the past that is currently on Broadway. You're not in it, but I'm wondering, they're doing Gypsy, obviously with Patti LuPone, and she won the Tony Award, and everybody's thinking she's phenomenal, and she was. You did Gypsy out in California, so first of all, have you seen the Broadway Gypsy that they're doing now, and also how you felt that your Mama Rose that you did differed from either Lupone's or some of the great Roses in previous times?
Well, I did not see this current one when I was doing, because I did it recently, about a year ago, out at the Westchester Broadway Theater. And I did not want to see another production because I didn't want it to impact upon the choices I was making. Mm-hmm. But I hear it's, a really exciting, it couldn't be a bad production. The score and that book are so incredible that if you have people with any modicum of talent, they're going to be able to pull off, at least at a certain level, that fantastic score and that fantastic book. Now, the difference is that you have somebody who is an absolute star and someone of Patti LuPone's quality and caliber and just incredible gifts. That's going to, and Laura Benanti and Boyd Gaines, they're going to just raise it to an astronomical level. So it's really one of the most magical scores and books of a musical I have ever been involved in.
But I was also wondering about the way you approached such a galvanic role as Mama Rose. Well,
when I was approaching it, I certainly, you want to steal from the best because they knew what they were doing. They lived with this role for a long time, and that's, Merman and Angela Lansbury when she did it, and then also, any of the greats that people have seen along the way, Tyne Daly. You have to put your own personal spin on it, and my spin, I think I approached it more from what I had to offer as a personality, which was more from the way that I express desperation will be different from the way that Patti LuPone expresses desperation.
How do you express desperation, Karen Mason?
Yeah. Ask my husband. I think I approached it maybe not quite so... it's hard because I have not seen her production of it. So
but I'm saying like Merman or Lansbury or Bernadette Peters. I mean, any of the above.
I think everybody has that same core of frustration, and, certainly that Rose wants to be. She is somebody who is needy and frustrated and knew she was destined for something better than the life that she had, and didn't quite know how to go after it. So she takes all of that energy and puts it through her, June. I also approached it from a vocal point of view. That's such a great score. I loved singing that score. For me, Everything's Coming Up Roses was the most exciting moment in that show, because I think that's when she becomes just slightly crazy. I don't think she's crazy. I don't think she's a crazy woman. I don't think. Well, I remember when I did it out in California, the one thing that I found really interesting was that her son, Gypsy Rose Lee's son, Eric Preminger, came to see the show, and he had his book with him that he had written about his mom and his family. And the one thing that struck me was that he said that Rose was a very charming woman, that she could walk into a room and really charm the pants off of anybody, but that June was scared to death of her. And I thought that was really interesting, that it wasn't this, diesel force, that she really used her sexual wiles. She used everything. She was a woman in early century, last century, doing something that not very many women were doing at that time. Right. And she had to use everything available to her to achieve her goals. You can really explore as an actress all those differences that you have and bring that to your characterization. And that's the beauty of a great role like Rose, is that she is very beautifully laid out. She's really well structured and well laid out and has a gorgeous arc. But there's still that room for that personalization about it, how you approach the role. And I just loved every minute of singing that score and being her. And, one of the perks of being an actress many times is getting to explore all those things about yourself. Sometimes you go, wait, that's a part of my personality I really like. I think I'd like to do more with that. And the thing that I took away from being Rose was her fearlessness. She really did not think about anything but achieving her goal. And there's a kind of beauty in that. Growing up Catholic Midwest, I was always trying to take care of other people and make sure I was liked and did all of these things so that sometimes it got in the way of what does Karen really want? And one of the things I took away from Rose was, what do you want, and go after it.
And actually, speaking of fearlessness, your connection to the show is even a bit deeper because one of your very first Broadway roles is that you were in Jerome Robbins' Broadway.
Right.
And I think you played one of the strippers in
I was Mazeppa.
You were Miss Mazeppa.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I had to learn in my 2 weeks, when you go into a new show as a replacement, basically you get about a week and a half, 2 weeks of rehearsal before then you have your, what they call a put-in, which is your rehearsal with the rest of the company. Your one rehearsal with the rest of the company.
Wow.
And then you do the show. And they said, you can either, because Mazeppa plays the trumpet, if you can't learn how to play the trumpet, we'll have the guys from the, somebody from the orchestra play it. And I thought, no way. I'm gonna do this. And I'm going to learn how to do it in those, short periods of time. So I would come home after rehearsal, and I'd have my trumpet and be jamming it against the side of my sofa so my neighbors wouldn't complain.
Yeah.
And, finally just jammed some sort of sound out of that poor trumpet. And I loved it. I loved playing that role. Again, it's, these three women walk out on stage in the, second act and steal the whole show. What could be wrong with that?
We're speaking with Karen Mason in the Neighborhood, the lovely and talented Karen Mason. Certainly those words fit. Let's go back, though, to your very first Broadway show. You had there was this somewhat of a hoopla this season when a musical called Glory Days, very bad musical called Glory Days, opened and closed in one night.
Yeah.
And it was, surprisingly enough, the first time you had a one-night flop in almost 15 years. There used to be a lot more... Yeah. It was... Oh, no, it's not 15 years. Like 5 years. Something called...
that's pretty amazing.
Right, because there used to be a couple of those every season.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for you, your Broadway debut was in Play Me a Country Song. I didn't see it. It might have been actually pretty good, but it didn't, obviously, it lasted one night.
Yeah.
How did you deal with that?
Oh, it was hard, because I had moved in 79 from Chicago to New York, thinking I was, as everybody who moves to the city does, I'm destined for greatness. And, of course, they're going to want me, in a matter of seconds to be in all these Broadway shows. And when I finally got into Play Me a Country Song, and it was a show called Jukebox Opry that was done off-Broadway, and they decided to try to expand it. And there were just some of the artistic staff were just having problems with each other. And, when that happens, pretty much you're screwed because nobody's talking to each other, and the actors are just trying to make the stuff work, and it just never quite had a core. And on opening night, and this was after maybe 2 weeks of previews, on opening night the party was going to be on the Circle Line tour.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, in my naivete, I really thought, well, maybe they'll try to keep it open. I really didn't think we were going to close. But they took us out on the Circle Line tour, and from what I remember, it was because they really didn't want us reading the reviews.
Oh.
And so there was this boat of drunken performers and, tech people circling Manhattan. And when we got off the boat, we saw the reviews, and also they had told us that, come get your stuff.
That night? Or
yeah.
Woo.
Yeah.
Oh, I figured they'd wait until the next time. They didn't want anybody jumping overboard.
No. Well, we were off the boat. But it was, you just...
Right.
When I was doing community theater, there seemed to be a little bit more organization than what was going on in Play Me a Country Song, and it was very dispiriting. I certainly did not want that to be my first Broadway experience, but in a way it kind of slapped me into reality on what just because you have an awful lot of money in a show doesn't mean that you've got all the ducks in a row.
And also the fact that the show was not going particularly well. You had those problems with the creatives, and the sense that it might not go over too well or get good reviews may have made it easier in some odd way when it closed on opening night than some other shows where things go pretty well. The audience is really liking it. You think you got a hit on your hands, and then boom, you open the New York Times, boom, you open Variety, boom, and then what happened?
Right. I know that's got to be so. It's such an amazing phenomenon that this amount of money and your lives and and your career and your employment is left up in the opinions of so few people, especially when an audience really loves it. I mean, honestly, it is for the audience. It's not necessarily that you do these shows for the gratification of having these critics come in, but that's the system, is that they come see the show, give their opinion, and then your fate is dependent on their opinions.
Well, I'm also a critic, so I'm not necessarily so sure that's a bad thing.
It's not.
But it should be more than one or two critics. It should be
absolutely, because one opinion, being the difference between opening, staying open and closing. I find that I think that first of all, that's an amazing amount of responsibility to put on one person's opinion.
And most critics don't want that, by the way. They really don't want to be the guy or the one of two guys. They just want to have their say.
Yeah.
And have some sort of influence, and to tell people who are reading, hey, run out and go see this, or gosh, don't waste your money. Don't support this bad stuff that they're doing. But other than that, they don't want to have the responsibility of closing a show.
From what I understand, a long time ago, that there used to be more, it used to be more opinions.
Oh, yeah.
That the fate of the show would rely upon.
Because
that seems right to me. I think, critics are, I think people, it does help guide people on what they're going to be doing with their entertainment dollars. I get that. And I think in a way it also makes sure, I think it keeps artistic people on their games, because you don't want a bad review. And so maybe you will not, cut corners the way that you would if you thought you could get away with it.
Because you do also want to appeal to a quote-unquote more discerning and knowledgeable audience.
Absolutely.
And if that isn't there, and you're just assuming, oh, well, it's, we're going to play in a senior citizens home, and we'll get anybody.
I've done that too, Dave.
Yeah, but did you bring your A game?
You know what? Yes, I did.
Right, you did, yeah. I'm sure you did. Hey, all you swinging hep cats, hep kittens, and HEPA filters, have I got a cool book for you. It's called Marriage, Babies, and the End of the World. It's published by Holvo Books, and it's got a bunch of comedies in there by Dave Lefkowitz, the host of Dave's Gone By. I think you'll find them funny, so cats and kittens, give it a look. davesgoneby.org is the cool place to go for marriage, babies, and the end of the world.
Hi, this is Karen Mason, and I am thrilled to be on Dave's Gone By at WGBB in Freeport.
Karen Mason, with a couple of more minutes here in the Daverhood, so much to ask and so little time. I do want to mention, I did not realize or remember that you were in the original Torch Song trilogy.
I was, but I was not. Here's what, this is one of those crazy show business stories. I had gotten Play Me a Country Song, and then I had auditioned for Torch Song Trilogy when they were moving from off-Broadway to Broadway. And Harvey Fierstein loved my audition. They offered me the role of Lady Blues when it was moving to Broadway, but Play Me a Country Song would not let me out of my contract.
Oh.
So I was not able to move with the show. But Harvey, he's such a mensch. When Susan, who played Lady Blues, went on vacation, he had me come in and do her 2 weeks. So I wasn't totally forgotten, but that was a really hard reality when that happened.
I can imagine. Was Harvey really cool back then? I wonder what he was like.
You know what? He's an absolute larger-than-life, wonderful man. He is I don't think he could be in any other business but show business. He is loving and warm and creative as can be, and just so funny, his mind is so brilliant. And he's a good guy. There are a lot of brilliant people, but there are a lot of jerks, too, and he is not that. He is a really great guy and a very loving, understanding man. Someone
who also comes off like that seems to be Jerry Herman. I've spoken to him, and people I know who've known him say that he's a sweetheart. And you keep pestering him about something. What would that be?
How do you know that?
I do research. What, you think I just woke up yesterday? I don't have a radio show. I'll get a microphone and maybe a couple of wires.
No, I just want to know how that is out there. You think you're being so discreet in your life, and no, you're not. I've always wanted to do MAME. That, to me, is, that would be such a great, fun show. It's got a little bit of everything, and a great score, and a terrific book, and it's a great character. I think there's a little bit of MAME in me, and I've been, sending him notes and all kinds of things. But if it's in my cards, hopefully it will happen.
Well, Karen Mason, I hope you get maimed. I had to do that joke. I'm sorry.
Good.
Maimed in a good way. I only wish we could keep you here in the neighborhood talking and having so much fun. You're certainly invited back. And please come on down physically to the neighborhood next time, because we really want you here.
Oh, thank you. We'd love to do that.
So, Karen Mason, best of luck. What's you're in Hairspray until when?
Until October 4th.
Everybody, you got a couple of weeks. Please, please, please go see Karen Mason in Hairspray. Buy her CD right here, right now. And I mean that.
And also, we're doing Birdland on August 4th at 7 p.m. So, I like to keep my skills sharp. So I hope you'll come down and maybe join us there.
Come, make it a Masonic evening, ladies and gentlemen, at Birdland with Karen Mason. Bless you. Thank you so much for being in the neighborhood.
Oh, it was my pleasure, Dave. I look forward to the next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.